All right, you're watching Universal Groove. We got Sacred Souls in the house. It's been a long journey. I met Sal a while back at the record store, and I got a chance to finally get everybody together here on the channel here. So welcome, guys, to the show.
Thanks for having me.
So super excited about this group. I heard about you guys early in the year, last year, and it was like fire, like right off the gate. Like everything that was being put out, everybody wanted a piece of it. They wanted the 45. They wanted, the video. They wanted all the music they can get from this group, and they've been delivering on every single song. Like it's crazy. Like every song that's been coming out, every video that's come out has just totally hit on every single level. And everyone that I talk to, they keep coming up in the modern soul scene. Like this is the group that they want to hear more music from. So just had to reach out to them, had to get them on the show. So again, welcome to the show. Josh, where did you grow up? And where were you born?
I was born and raised in Sacramento, California. Moved around there. Never hadn't left to live anywhere else until 2017 when I moved to San Diego.
And then for Sal, like where did you grow up?
I grew up in Imperial Beach, right in between Chula Vista, San Isidro.
And then Alex, where did you grow up and where were you born?
Born and raised in Chula Vista.
Now, Josh, you growing up in Sacramento, what's the atmosphere there? Is it pretty rough, pretty chill? And then what are the differences between Sacramento and, the San Diego area?
Just like any city, there's spots that feel more rough and there's spots that feel less rough. There's your normal amount of gentrification. There's your normal amount of like hoods that never really have moved. I grew up in Carmichael mostly, which is maybe somewhere in the middle. It's just average. It's just a little, nothing too crazy. I don't have like a crazy past personally. And then I moved around. Downtown is where I spent most of my time as an adult. I moved down to Midtown Sacramento, which has a cool scene. Like it's cool places to eat and drink and hang out with friends. It's a decent, pretty good music scene and a lot of connectivity with it. People go meet up and drink and talk about their bands and stuff. So
how about for you, Sal?
Man, it's a beach town, so everything's pretty laid back. Everybody knows everybody. I grew up like right around the corner from my high school. I got 7-Eleven at the end of my street. I got my whole entire like other family in the house right next door. Grew up there my whole life. Got the beach, everybody's always kicking it at the beach. I was always there as a kid. Pretty much it, just always at the beach, always hanging out. And
I grew up in the south side of Chula Vista. There's like two sides of Chula Vista. There's the cookie cutter home, suburban
East Lake,
yeah. And I grew up in the west side, southwest side. So I wouldn't say it's like a rough area, but for people like barely coming, like if they're gonna like go to Chula Vista and they go to my area, they're gonna like see the difference.
What were you guys doing like in high school? What's like the story there between all you guys? You guys nerds? You guys freaking cool guys? Musicians in the band? Like what were you guys doing in high school?
For me, high school, I was just, I don't know. I didn't like high school. I mean, I doubt most people liked high school, but high school was rough. I barely made it, but I made it. And that's pretty much how all of high school went. I wasn't worried about math. I was just drawing, and yeah. Some good old D's and C's, you know what I'm saying?
It's like a social experiment. High school, it sucked. It's the fact that there's nerds and kids and jocks and cheerleaders, and it's like, it's kind of getting you ready for the bullshit side of the real world, which is like, you're going to be casted and this and that. I was trying to be I was with everybody, but I was trying my best to like, just have human connection instead of hierarchical human connection in a school where it's like you play football, so you're with the football kids. And
yeah, I agree with that for sure.
Not my favorite time.
I was kicking it with all the groups. I remember I was just like, I was kicking it with the surfer dudes, the metalheads, the skaters, the homies, the everybody. It was pretty cool.
How about for you, Alex?
I was just always into music, and I was always trying to like find new music in high school, and I started playing guitar when I was like 13. So that kind of just took up a lot of my time, just being like obsessed with music, and school was kind of like secondary thought.
Josh, when did you pick up instruments?
without the classical trained part, I've been playing instruments since I was a kid, but it always was kind of to inform to be the bed of the songwriting. So my mom and dad bought me a keyboard. It's like a Yamaha, one of those cheap ones that like teaches you how to play songs and stuff. And I would write little songs. And at the time, I was like, I grew up super Christian in my parents, so I would write little songs that were like pop songs for an alternative route. It's kind of crazy, but I know how to play the keys and stuff, but I never really stuck to one instrument to get the chops to be to call myself those musicians. But I play guitar too, and the style of music I write solo, I think I play guitar good enough, so mostly singing though. I've been singing my whole life too since I was a kid.
Where did the singing come from, Josh? Was that something that you may have done in church, or is this something that your family's kind of brought to you as a kid?
It definitely started because of church. I mean, you might have certain skills and your parents see it and I think they could see that I could sing, and my dad's a singer and my mom loves to sing too. So at one point he was trying to get me and my brothers together to be like a band, like a Jackson 5 kind of a thing, with all like dancing and all that stuff. But and then I grew up Christian, so I just was doing a lot of it in the church. And then as an adult, I really, like a young adult, when I moved out of my parents' house, I was listening to a lot of Stevie. I had like an MP3 player that was like one of the fake ones, the knockoffs, and it was just Napstered up with Stevie Wonder anthologies. I haven't said that in any of the interviews, but he's a bigger inspiration than a lot of the people that I usually say, because he's been there since like literally my renaissance as a musician for myself, when I really started to try to take it serious.
Yeah, Stevie Wonder's been doing it for a long period of time. He's one of those artists that when you hear it, it's like the voice, the piano, like everything's just like really solid. So was he one of the artists? Is there other artists along with him that you listen to that just you kind of take a little bit from?
I went to school for music, so I kind of got into, I really liked classical music, Debussy, and I also really got into jazz for a while and was really into like the horn players who were pretty much singing, and a lot of the female jazz singers like Ella Fitzgerald. And how I grew up, I listened to a lot of indie music too, and I was always trying to find like that sweet spot between like having a soulful tone but then keeping the melodies not so cliche in the beginning with my solo stuff and everything. So Stevie, Marvin Gaye, Aretha Franklin. I really was into Aretha, just that powerhouse of a voice, always like sticking it to something.
Definitely in the music that I've heard so far, I mean, you really got that Marvin type sound. That's crazy to say because there's not many people that can pull that off, right? You got the highs, you got like the lows. You really got a really nice range on all those vocals that you do. But I think that's what really hits home for me. I really hear that Marvin Gaye sound. Is that something that you just naturally had, or is that something that you've been working with?
I think that I was just letting you know that my upbringing, my childhood wasn't really Marvin Gaye, but as an adult, yeah, I was into his message and the tones he'd come up with for certain songs, and the vibrato. Like it always feels good to hear people say that I'm reminding them of that, because he's definitely an influence on how I write with these Sacred Souls.
For you, Sal, when did you start picking up instruments, and what instruments were you picking up?
It was probably right after I graduated high school, which was I think 2014. So I wanted to start a band, but I didn't know how to play anything at all. So I was trying to figure out what would be the quickest and easiest thing to pick up and learn. And I thought that was bass, which now I know that it's not it can be, but it's not as simple and easy and unimportant as, some people think, but so I went to the Swamp Meet, picked up this janky, like 5-string, missing the 5th string bass for like $60. And I remember I'd plug it into like a little DJ thing, because my dad, for like his turntables, I remember I didn't have an amp. So I remember I would just plug it into that and play out of the monitors. And it sounded terrible. But, I was, whatever, I would just play. And yeah, from there, guitar and yeah, that was pretty much it.
How about for you, Alex? When was the first time that you picked up an instrument, and what instrument was it?
First started playing guitar when I was like 12 or 13, and just instantly was hooked and would practice like for hours, like every day for for years. And I think when I was like 18, I wanted to start making my own music, but I didn't know the people that like, I didn't have like homies that played music, you know? So I just picked up the drums, you know, got a drum set off Craigslist and used that drum set, some cheap old drum set. Got a bass. Actually, my uncle was very helpful and he let me have a bass. Great uncle, right? So had a bass, guitar, drums, and kind of just like slowly turned my garage into a little studio and just like would stay there for hours, just, you know, trying to like get better at each instrument and tracking just any kind of like song idea that I had in my head. And like that went on for like a few years until I started to like finally like put together some songs that sounded like decent.
Let's start with Josh. Were you ever in a band, or were you just simply just making music on your own and performing it?
I'd always been writing my own songs, but I started a band that didn't have a very long start, a very long career, I'd say. But in my hometown, I had a band called Josh Lane and the Heartfelt, and we were just writing songs that kind of like didn't have a genre, but they were definitely like a little bit of soul, a little bit of like a melting pot of all the things I was into. But I was doing a lot of just writing when I moved to San Diego, like pop stuff on my Logic, which is the microphone I had, and my guitar, my electric guitar, and then my MIDI controller. And then I was playing a lot of solo gigs in San Diego, like Sal was saying earlier, singer-songwriter stuff with my guitar. And sometimes I throw on like a loop that I made with it.
You and Alex were in different bands. Can we talk about like where that band started from?
Yeah, I mean, I went through a lot of phases, you know, just like most people. So, you know, when I as much as I was into soul, you know, I started with, you know, punk and garage music and you know, stuff like that. So I think when I started and I picked up that bass and I was practicing, you know, that's the kind of music that I was into, and that's, you know, that's the kind of music I was playing, at least, like just garage, you know, a little more stripped down punk.
And then how about for you, Alex?
Well, I wouldn't say it was a band. It was a solo project called Miles Bandit. Some homie from Oceanside, one of my friends. I was a guitarist primarily. That's what I considered myself, but he needed a drummer, so I was like, fuck it, you know, I play drums. I kind of play drums, so you know, for me it was like a way to just like get some experience and play an instrument that I'm not normally comfortable with, and play some shows. Like that's like the best way to learn an instrument. So that's why I took on that little challenge, and through that I met Sal. So it, you know, it ended up being a pretty cool opportunity to play with that band.
If you can, Sal, can you tell us how you two met, and just give us a little story behind just how you guys came together on, you know, joining up and jamming out?
Both of our bands had we were playing on the same show. It was in La Jolla, and it was at the Shea Cafe. And yeah, we were both waiting to play. You know, it was kind of a bigger show, a lot of different bands, but we were just trying to kill time, you know. And we had mutual friends already, so I was in the back, kind of just drinking some whiskey before, you know, while I could. And yeah, Alex was back there too, drinking too, you know. Next thing you know, we're both drinking. Next thing you know, we probably had a little too much, you know, considering that we still needed to play. But yeah, we just started talking, man. We just started talking, and oldies came up. I don't even know how or why, because neither of us were really like there to play oldies or anything. But you know, it came up, and you know, I told him that I grew up on oldies, and he was like, "Oh, I dig the same thing." We started showing each other songs, and yeah, we were like, "Well, let's do something." You know, I was like, I don't know anybody else who's into oldies that's my age. You know, I mean, I grew up on them, but I didn't know nobody my age that was like trying to make that or listening to it. You know, but Alex was.
It's the universe, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
The first video, Can I Call You Rose, you know, Who came up with that concept there? It looked like a really cool concept. You guys like in the backyard barbecuing. Seemed like a really good time. Who would put that video ideas together on Can I Call You Rose?
I got a friend named Troy Bloom. He's a director and writer, and I was kind of thinking we were just kind of talking about what we wanted to do, and I said I knew somebody, and I kind of had an idea, but it changed, and then it changed a couple more times, and then the guys were like, we should definitely do something that kind of shows just who we are a little bit too, because it was more of a story, like a storyline at first. So then we added in the barbecue scene, which was just a chance to just be not so scripted and just kind of be chill. And then we finished it at my friend Troy's house.
That's like the first time that everyone really gets a, the piece of just the vibe, right? I mean, for me, watching that video, that's the first time I get a chance to see what you guys are kind of all about, who's in the band, and, what was your guys' experience? Any behind the scenes tidbits that you guys have?
Well, that barbecue was almost going to not happen because it was supposed to rain that day.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Luckily, it didn't rain. I think maybe it did rain. Like,
it sucks because the whole point of the music video was to kind of showcase San Diego, like the in its best weather, And then it was kind of a story on top of that. But that's what kind of sold it to the guys too. Was like, let's just show San Diego like some of our stomping grounds, and then it was supposed to be clear skies, and all of a sudden towards the end of shooting or picking the shoot dates, it was like it's gonna rain for sure on the shoot dates, which was a bummer.
We were just trying to show, where we're from, what we see, what we're used to, the people we hang out with, and art, what we enjoy, and that pretty much sums up all of it in that video. Most of it, grilling and records, and my dad called up his friends. All those lowriders were just, were just friends that they came through. Shout out to all of them. But they pulled up, they parked their cars, and they just hung out with us, and we just listened to records. And I mean, as much as it was a music video, like, we really were just chilling there, drinking, listening to records, and and just hanging out, having a good time.
I was meditating on love and you and roses, and the universe told me, put it in a love song.
So you meet Sal, Alex at a show. You guys get kind of buzzed, kind of hanging out. Find out that you guys love the same type of music. Decide to do that project. Give us a little background how that project between you and Sal at your house, like the whole setup and how you guys are writing the music. And how many songs did you guys write before reaching and finding Josh on Instagram?
Well, when we first started out, we were just kind of just focusing on sharing music together and just sharing our influences. And Sal came from like digging like a different side of soul than I did, you know, like he was more into like the Chicano soul type of stuff. And so I didn't really listen to that kind of a soul at that point, but we kind of just like shared music together, worked on a few covers here and there, and then slowly got into like tracking our own instrumentals. And we probably only had like, besides Rose, like maybe like 3 or 4 other instrumentals that we already have recorded. And that's when we were like, man, we really need a singer.
So before finding Josh, Alex, who was singing on these beautiful tracks that you guys are coming up with?
I was singing on some covers. We did some covers of Sonny Osuna, Cross My Heart. So there's one that I tracked with singing on it. I don't know, I don't really like singing. It's just not my thing. So I'm like, man, we gotta find like a singer, like a dedicated singer. And you know, I had been following Josh for a few months on Instagram, and I'm like, man, this fool kind of sounds like Marvin Gaye, man. You know?
Yeah, I remember he sent me over on Instagram. He posted a clip, you know, and Alex was like, yo, I think we should record with this dude. He kind of sounds like Marvin Gaye a little bit.
Before I even knew about the project, I had just followed Alex Casrillo because I liked his instrumentals. They were hard. They were like hip hop almost. And that was really, and then when he was like, we would say, we're like, oh, I like what you're working on. I like what you're working on. And then one of us said, let's meet up and jam. And I didn't know about their project. So honestly, I thought maybe this would be a cool connection where like, if I'm working on some tracks, Alex could jump in and play some drums too. Like I didn't know about the project yet.
I mean, at first too, I thought, man, I'll just, you know, there is another opportunity to play drums for someone else.
That would have been sick though. I mean, the stuff that I was working on with battered drums for another time.
We could have just ended up being Josh's band.
That wouldn't have been good though, because this is something that I grew a lot playing in this band because it wasn't a situation where it's like you come with the song all the time and you're just like, okay, how do we get this ready to record it? It's like you give input, but a lot of time there's already input, and like finding your place in the creative process, and a lot of like pride and all that stuff gets put away because it's like, how do you write the best song? Really, it's not necessarily about anything else. But I had never played with the band where there were multiple writers before this. It was always like you write your own stuff and then people who play really good interpret that. But it's been cool writing with people who write their own way too.
Alex and Sal, what is the first track that you bring to Josh to sing to?
It was Rose. I think, and then the second track was Will I See
Weak
You?
for Your Love. I think it was Weak for Your Love.
Ah, dog. It was like,
No, it wasn't. It was Will I See
Oh,
You
no?
Again.
Oh,
Yo,
okay.
and you showed me a couple. Like you showed me some of the covers, and you showed me a couple of the originals, and I kept being like, "Oh, what's that Sacred Soul? I mean, what's that one right there for the Rose?" Because instantly that sounded like ear candy to me. Like I'm big on melodies, and those melodies were like ear candy. And you were like that one, and you were trying to you showed me Will I See You Again.
Weak for Your Love was like different. Like I remember you being like, man, this is too spaced out and there's no chord changes. And just,
Yeah, I wasn't trying to trust you guys at first. I was like, what? Because my brain wasn't thinking that kind of melody writing. And you were like, you guys had to give me some like some what do you call it? Some guidance. Because I definitely was.
Inspiration.
Yeah, I just didn't know. Like I remember that was difficult. I was like, I don't know if I can write this one. And I just really, I didn't have the ability or like the space in my ear to know where to go. It wasn't until I got some of those some of the inspirations you guys were thinking that it made more sense.
That one was really fun to like watch like come together, you know, because it started off super stripped down. Well, first it started off as a completely different demo, you know, just me and Alex. Like it was just an idea, and it was just like it was repetitive. It was weird, kind of ghostly, like just this weird simple like minute or two track, you know. And then it turned into something else.
I specifically remember you guys being like too many words on this one, like. And then you showed me a track with a dude like had one small phrase that he just kept building on the whole song. I don't remember what song it was, but
that's the kind of idea. That's the idea for sure. You know, I think you were just like, but where's the change at?
The change in the song happens like fucking 3 minutes into the song, so it's like it's a real long song. I don't think we're gonna do another fucking almost.
No. And you know what? Too, the demo was even longer and slower.
Gabe chopped that is like.
Weak for Your Love. Tell me about that video experience. Who came up with that concept there? What was the experience of that video?
We went up to Lake Arrowhead to shoot the video, and the directors Alex and Lewis, they basically like had this whole almost like a horror movie type of concept, because for some reason they thought Weak for Your Love like was like really dark and had these like had a spooky feel to it, even though like technically it's like a love song. But we go up to Lake Arrowhead and we get there like at 4 p.m. and I don't think they started shooting until like 9 or something, and the shoot went on until like 6 or 7 in the morning. So it was a real long night.
Yeah, they had professional equipment, so it took a lot of time to set it up and like get it all checked out. They had like red cameras, which are these like industry ready cameras and stuff, so, and lighting and all that. It was cool being a part of it. It wasn't our ideas. It was Alex and Luis. They had the concept already, so it was an interesting, only our second music video, but it was also our first experience of like someone else's complete idea, and we're kind of the tools for it, and it ends up being a music video for us. But it wasn't like we didn't really plan what we were doing, so it was interesting to be a part of someone else's idea.
Sal, can you go into details on how the name came about of Sacred Souls? How did that name come about?
My dad just had this idea, you know, back in the day. He was gonna start a group with Mike Umholtz, or like a brand, you know, for record collecting and just a collective. And yeah, they were gonna name it the Sacred Souls. And yeah, we were just all talking about it, and he was like, that would be a cool name, you know. And just like, yeah, that word. we put like the instead of the.
Sacred Soul Club.
Oh yeah. You're right. Yeah, it wasn't the Sacred Souls. No, it was Sacred Soul Club. Yeah. Now that makes more sense. Yeah, it was Sacred Soul Club, and we're like, you know, the Sacred Souls, you know. And I drew like huge inspiration from like the Midnighters and, you know, all the bands, you know, and I just thought it was cool, and we should just throw the on top of it, and yeah.
No, it's perfect. I mean, it's all about soul, and you guys sing soul, so it just totally makes sense. So now Josh has joined the group, right? He's figured out what you guys are doing. You guys are putting together the music. The first one that comes out is
Can I Call You Rose?
Now, when you heard that song, Josh, what was going through your mind when you're listening to this song back?
I just thought it was beautiful, man. It was a really beautiful melody, strong chord progression and melody that kind of stood on its own. And I'm big on sounds that get stuck in your head, like your ears. Like if it's candy, I like to call it for myself. And everything was good about it. I dug it. I don't know what else to say about it. I thought the other stuff was cool too, but that one was instantly like I was connected to it.
Now, the crazy thing about that specific song is that Alex and maybe even Sal didn't even want to do this song, right? Is this like in the lower level of songs, right? That, you know, was in the back, and then Josh is kind of like sifting through it, and this is a song that just really catches your attention. Is that right?
I was kind of just like, you know, this song's kind of whatever's, you know. Sal liked it a lot.
I pushed on that instrumental track for sure.
I'm really picky, man. Like, I feel like I'm like the pickiest dude in the band, so I'm always hard on like what songs are gonna make it and what songs aren't.
But that's the cool part of it, because that was an instrumental that you did. So even to be that hard on your own stuff, it's cool that there's a bunch of us, because then maybe with a new set of perspective or something, or like with a certain thing on top, you're like, oh yeah, that thing that I wrote is good. That's how I feel about that one. Like, not that you didn't like it, but maybe you didn't see where it was going.
Yeah, and in some cases with you guys, is it like, you know, you really don't know how good the song is until you see what Josh puts on it, or see what Sal puts on it, or even like what Alex is gonna put on it. Is there any cases like that with other songs where like you may have heard like, you know, this is okay, but let me see what Josh can do on this?
I think that was kind of the process with, you know, with Rose, is that like, you know, Josh came through and he saw the blanket and he started writing on the spot, and he started, you know, next thing you know, there's a melody, and then he throws down a talking part, you know, spoken word part in the song, and it was just like, oh shit, you know, this is sick, you know. I didn't think it was gonna sound like that, but it sounded great.
Most powerful part of music making, I think.
It was really interesting to me is that the inspiration, or at least the starter point of that song, was from a blanket that was hung on Alex's wall. Can Josh, can you go into that on the inspiration for Can I Call You Rose?
Like I said, the instrumental was so heavy, like it was already so good that it kind of exuded inspiration, at least to me. So like, I think that anything could have got written lyrically from there, as long as the melody was good. And so in my mind, I was like, I can use something in this room as a placeholder so that I can write some melody and then change the words, get poetic with the words or something. And it just happened to be his blanket with roses on it. And I think that's the easiest thing to get romantic with. And then I thought if I asked a question, then I could try to answer the question. And then it literally kind of just went from there. That's the power of a good, an already good track. The instrumental alone could have been put out as like an instrumental.
Yeah, and it's really beautiful what you guys come up with. So what's the next song that you guys work on?
Will I See You Again, right?
That was Will I See You Again.
Yeah, if you can, Alex and Sal, I mean, what kind of went into that song? How did that song come about?
Like Rose, we had that instrumental track already. We were kind of just stuck as far as like where the song would go, but at least for me, like I can hear hooks, I can hear a chorus, but I can't write a fucking verse. So for that one, I just had the Will I See You Again, like that hook was just kind of in my head, and kind of like talked to Josh, and we tried to like figure out like a story that we could build upon, and he just went off, you know, literally just pressed record and just went off.
And then what was your process on that, Josh, for the lyrics and putting that all together?
Just kind of following everything. I mean, to have the Will I See You Again part, it kind of put a roadmap, and you can go so many ways with that. But my thought was, okay, this is like a minor-y chord progression that kind of feels like the guitar player sounds like it's crying a little bit with that effect on it. So I was like, okay, some kind of like sad song. But then I kind of just use my own personal stuff that's ever happened. Like sometimes it's a bunch of things, like the idea of unrequited love, and then the other idea of like somebody who does want your love but then just doesn't understand how they want it, or like how much commitment they want to put. So it's kind of like a limbo song. It's not necessarily a heartbreak song, but it's not like a love song. It's like kind of some tension there.
It was cool because like it was right after Can I Call You Rose, which is the complete opposite.
Yeah, we started to get some good contrast, like EP writing or album writing. We started to feel like there was holes being filled for like certain context.
Okay, so now you guys have a collection of just these solid tracks, and then you guys go out and start gigging. What was that like to kind of put these songs that were, you know, from the garage now out on stage into the whole wide world? What was that feeling like, and what was like the crowd response when they're hearing these songs?
It was pretty surreal, you know. Even just you know, when you get your first record and you see, you know, your name's on the record, or you know, you see the song title and you get to play it, and it's all a trip, you know. Playing
it was fun. It was fun to play live. Even the ones that weren't fun were fun. It was a lot of the early stuff was like kind of local stuff, smaller bars. At one point, a coffee shop I worked at, I got us a gig there, just an easy thing. A lot of people showed up, but it wasn't necessarily like your normal venue or even your normal listener. Like it's people that lived out in that area that don't even really care for soul or know about soul. It is fun.
I think they were just good learning experiences, you know? Like, how to play together as a band, and also playing in front of people that aren't your friends. You know, it's because me and Sal came from like a house show scene. You kind of play in front of your friends a lot of the times, but when you're out there like just playing in like dive bars and whatever, like it's just an honest response from the crowd. It definitely made our songs better. Like it made us like become better songwriters.
Yeah, I think that's what's really like beautiful in music is like when you're in the garage and you're grinding on these songs and you're putting them together and you really don't know, you know, what that response will be. And you can play in front of family, you can play in front of friends, you don't really get that, you know, the response that you really as a musician or an artist really want, because you know at the end of the day they're gonna give you the benefit of the doubt. They're gonna be like, yeah, you guys are good, you know, and you really want that answer. So then when you start seeing people, you know, respond to your music that are on the outside, and then, you know, I'm seeing like comments on a lot of the stuff, you know, the videos, I'm seeing the comments when you guys are posting on Instagram, you know, this is like my wedding song, this is like, you know, my dedication to my, you know, my girl, and, you know, dedication to my mom. So when you see that, I mean, what motivation are you guys getting from all these comments and friends and family?
Yeah, it's powerful to know that like a little piece of us as writers gets connected to someone's life story, and then like how they met their girlfriend, or maybe they already met, but how they like proposed, and then that's kind of what the stuff we love listening to. And you look back, it's like sometimes it's connected to a memory. That's why you love it the most. So it's cool to know somebody might be 50 slow dancing to Rose, or can I call you Rose, or something like that. It's just cool.
So you guys are doing these shows, you're getting some attention, you know, just from friends, family, people that are, you know, starting to listen to the music live. Who approaches you and takes it to the next level in a studio?
Our second show ever, we got contacted by some dude named Diego, he was in a band. He's in a band called With Strangers, and you know, he DM'd us, and he was really excited in our music, and he asked for my contact info because he wanted us to play at 2J's. So, you know, we exchanged contact info, and he's like, yo man, like, can you send me some of your demos? And I was like, man, I don't know about that. You know, like it's too soon to send people demos, right? And he's like, because I want to send these to Gabe Roth. And I'm like, oof. Like that shit was like, that was crazy for him to say that. I was like, all right. So I sent him the demos, and then he's like, hey man, just let's just say this, expect a call from Gabe tomorrow.
I remember you showing that text. Just expected.
So we tripped out, and the following day, like, I missed Gabe's call, and I was like, oh, dude.
Hard to get, playing hard to get.
You know, and then I just get a text from Gabe, and he's like, give me a call, like, all serious. And I'm like, oof. So we call him up, and he just, you know, was excited about the stuff that he heard, and he was just asking us if, like, you know, if we want to record it, and, like, what we're planning to do with those tracks. And you know, after that call, it was in like maybe like a few more days, like after that call, like we went to 2J's and we played that gig, and we weren't expecting him to come through, but I got a call from him, and he's like, yo, when are you guys going on? And I'm like, man, like we're on in 10 minutes. He's like, all right, I'm on my way, man. He's like, I'll be there in like 40 minutes. Can you just like tell them to hold on? You
know he's on his way. I mean, are the nerves hidden? Are you guys drinking before this? Like, okay, like I gotta loosen up, or like what's going through your guys' mind as this guy's, you know, gonna be there like in 10 minutes and watch your set?
We went to the bar and bought another drink like quick. We're just like, whiskey straight, quick, hurry up, just chug it, you know. And so, like right before we're about to play, we're setting up on stage. Like Gabe Roth comes through with his shades, and just like sitting down at the bar, and we're like so nervous, man. Like he's just like staring at us like with his arms crossed the whole time, like straight face, but
like nervous because it's our second show, you know, so we're nervous already. And then we learn we're playing, you know, Gabe's right there, he's checking us out the whole time, so it's like, yeah, damn, I was already nervous, but like now even more so.
Man, if you don't know who Gabe Roth is, like he's like responsible, I would say, for like the resurgence of like modern soul. Like Daptone was like the OG label, just bringing this shit back since like the late 90s, and you know, he produced Sharon Jones, and he's always been in the mix when it comes to like soul music. So it was just ridiculous, because I've been following like Daptone for a few years, and it was just ridiculous to have him there watching our set. But after we finished our set, like, he came up to us and he's like, "Man, you guys want to cut a record? You guys down to come to the studio in like a few days?
You guys want to make a record, man?"
Could have been me. Yeah, could have been me. Lying on the concrete, there's a knee against my neck, bleeding for my breath, bleeding for my breath. There'll be no peace, there'll be no peace, there'll be no peace until there's justice, until there's justice. There'll be no peace, there'll be no peace, there'll be no peace until there's justice, until there's justice. Could have been me, yeah, could have been me, running, just running. There's a shotgun in my face, fighting just to live. The shotgun takes my place. There'll be no peace, there'll be no peace, there'll be no peace until there's justice, until there's justice. There'll be no peace, there'll be no peace, there'll be no peace until there's justice, until there's justice. Oh, there'll be no peace, there'll be no peace until there's justice, until there's justice. There'll be no peace, there'll be no peace, there'll be no peace until there's justice, until there's justice. Ooh, there'll be no peace. Oh, no, 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 no. Until there's justice, until there's justice.
The performance happens. He asks you guys to sign, on the dotted line, and you guys hit the studio with him. Now, are you guys thinking like, hey, I'm going to record this in digital? Or was he like off the top, like, no, we're hitting the analog?
We already knew, what we were getting ourselves into, working with Gabe, because we're all fans of what he does and how he does it, and, his take on everything and recording and keeping it, true. So I think we were all even more excited, for that reason.
He also didn't necessarily sign us right away at that show. He was just like, let's go cut a record. And we were kind of like, does that mean we're signed? We were kind of not confused. We were just like, he literally meant let's cut a record. Like, other stuff might happen, but like at the very least, let's go cut a record, which was cool.
Now, when you guys hit the studio, what's the vibe? Is he coming in with like, a robe, like a Playboy robe, or what is he walking into? What is he walking into the studio with? What's the vibe when you guys finally meet up with him at the studio?
It doesn't feel like you're kicking it with some like businessman who's trying to think of the best way to make some money. It always starts with like, oh, you guys play records, what do you guys listen to? We'll sit there for an hour and just listen to records, just talk, and he'll tell us stories or music that he's listening to, or about other 45s, introducing us into songs we haven't heard before, and it's cool that he comes from a musician's standpoint, not from like a big corporation, and so it feels like we're just talking to like you know, a fellow musician, you know.
One of the ways that Bosco Man Gabe does is he records in analog. And can you explain to the fans out there what that means in music and what that gives you? What are the advantages and disadvantages that you have recording this way?
You have to realize that, you know, everything's kind of different when it's analog. You know, you have to be a little bit more like certain about what you're playing, or if it's worth playing, you know. And if you don't like it, you know, is it worth trying to cut again? Because you're gonna, you know, you're wasting tape, you know, and it's not gonna come out the same. You know, you're never gonna play it exactly the same. So you kind of have to be sure about, you know, and honest with yourself about what, you know, what sounds best and whether it's worth trying again or not. But I think that all keeps it pretty true, you know. Like, you can listen to those tracks, man, and like I can hear like bass lips, you know what I'm saying, and I'll hear something that I'm like, man, you know, there's a bass lip, you know, but nobody else says anything, you know. And if it works, then it works, you know. And sometimes it's not worth going over and trying to get a better bass fill, you know, and potentially, you know, ruin a take or whatever, you know.
What about for you, Josh? I mean, cutting these vocals, recording this, you know, specific way, is it really difficult? Are you nailing these? How many takes does it take to get these songs completed in some cases?
I love singing at the studio because they got top of the line ribbon and like these crazy condenser mics, or these crazy ribbon mics that aren't used by studios these days. So like, and the reverb and all the stuff they have is great, but it can be hard to get in the moment just because I got used to how we sounded in Alex's studio, and for some reason singing in the garage I was like really free, because it's like the microphone is just right there, it's just the dynamic, and it's just like I felt like performing. And in there it's like it's hard to get out of your head sometimes, especially when you only miss a run or something because it's the pressure, versus it gets easier and easier. But there was a time Alex had to drive me back up to recut the whole vocal part because I was like, I could hear that it was slightly pitchy in my mind, and then I forget who else kind of was like, yeah, I can hear it, and then so it's hard sometimes.
As far as what's working with Gabriel, him being such a musician and having this knowledge, I mean, how much does that help you guys or give you an advantage when you're coming up with these songs?
It gives us a different way to look at it, you know, look at the song, you know, different than how we're already seeing it or what we might think that it sounds like, you know.
He's not like my way or the highway. He's like, here's what I think. He respects us as writers. I think that's the cool part. Like, we don't feel scared to give a pushback because he's just seen it how he sees it, but he also respects how we see it, which is cool.
This song just came out, It's Our Love. This video was shot in Super 8, which is really different. Most people are shooting in digital. But what was it like working with the person that put this together, and who was the person that put this together for you guys?
Yeah, we worked with our friend David Lampley, and it was super chill. Like it was kind of like a loose concept. So really we were just hanging out, and he kind of just captured moments, and sometimes we didn't really know that he was shooting us, you know. So we were just hanging out, and he has like a specific style when he shoots. His editing style too was pretty dope too. Like the way he laid the film together just worked out and kind of gave like the whole vibe was like hazy and kind of fit the vibe of the song.
So there's a new 45 that's out with the Sacred Souls. Obviously, for the other ones that are out there, they like flew off the shelves. What's the new 45 that people can expect from you guys?
Well, right now, currently, we have Will I See You Again, and It's Our Love. That's our latest 45. We're hoping to put an album out soon. I'm not sure when, but we're definitely working hard on that. Currently, we have a lot of songs like already tracked in the studio, and some songs that are just like on hold right now. But yeah, we got a lot of tracks for that.
I want to thank you guys again for doing this interview. I mean, I try to look for interviews that were done. There wasn't many that were out there, so I really thank you guys for taking the time. Really excited about putting this out. There's a lot of fans out there that are really excited about the music that you're doing, the artwork, everything is just hitting. Music videos are hitting, 45s are coming out, so I'm really excited to get this out there, get you guys some more fans. Again, thank you for taking the time for doing this.
Yeah, thank you, man. Thank you for having us.
All right, guys, thank you so much. You're watching Universal Groove. See you soon.